say in general of individuals who are had the breaks as minority folks, as oftentimes because you live in an environment which can put you in a position, and we know of that, where your concerns are not inclusive of the entire depth of your community. I'm saying we can't afford to do that.
Well,
let's just on that plane.
But we're not even at the first level of acceptance. How are we? I just think we kind of.
But I'm not sure whether we can, because human nature is what it is. I don't think we can afford to do this in stages.
But we have to.
Or in strides.
But for those more challenging disabilities, I think that within the disability community, we don't talk about the larger society, the more inclusive society. My experience as someone who works with people with long-term mental illness is everybody wants everybody but my people to show up at the conference, and we're talking disability conferences, which is that within the disability community, and I think what I'm hearing you say is that there's a need to be more inclusive, to build bridges across disabilities, and not necessarily fight the fight of your group.
Right, I believe in that. I think at some point, in terms of your evaluation of this conference, you need to make the point, if that's an issue with you, that you should make the point that even though the panelists were fine, they all had some form of visible disability. Where was somebody who has a hidden disability? Where is a person who is quote unquote mentally ill? Where is? So that they begin to think in that way. Because when people look for speakers or they look to feel things, they go with what they know. And if they haven't heard from you that maybe you should think a little more, they usually don't.
And there may be someone, but not in this room.
Right.
You know.
And I met John in Austin, Texas about a year ago at AAUP conference, and you talk about being lost among them PhDs, you know. There were what, a couple thousand people?
Certainly 4 or 5.
And I saw 3 people with physical disabilities. And then to me that said something that you know, national conferences, especially those ones that advocate for people with disabilities, have to get them involved. And myself, I'm a board member of a corporation that provides services and opportunities for people with mental disabilities, and I'm also on the board of an independent living center that, you know, they serve primarily people with physical disabilities. So I have the opportunity to educate each board that they should get together and serve all people.
These barriers for disabled persons because of lack of support in the communities is the low self-concept, low self-esteem. When one becomes disabled, one has to adjust to being a person first and realize that disability is incidental, but it's also part of you. And it is a positive part of you. It's a positive, negative part of your personality, and accept the whole thing. But this is not reinforced. Most people run into the barriers of attitudes. Those persons who have hidden disabilities, we find, tend to be more, in fact, one day I'm going to finish my doctoral dissertation on that, tend to have more problems, we find, like those who are learning disabled, who have perhaps hearing impairments or other kinds of disabilities that aren't seen, are more frustrated because they may feel that they're just as disabled, speaking of fragmentation, as the ones in wheelchairs or ones using canes or those who have other problems that are visible, than those who have problems in just surviving daily, like diabetes and certain kinds of cancer and so forth and so on. The collaboration among the groups of disabled persons, as you indicated earlier, is difficult because every disabled group feels like they're more disabled than the other. You know, that we have bigger problems because we're on crutches, bigger problems because I have arthritis, fewer problems because or more problems because I have dyslexia or whatever. So this is the kind of thing that as a group, they don't see it as a collective or common problem. We are training the business people to look at it as a common problem, and the degree of disability is something, or the kind of skill the person has, and then to take under consideration what those needs are to adapt to their particular occupational demand, the occupational opportunity that they have for them. We also utilize the services of all the universities and community colleges around our city to provide technical assistance and staff development, sometimes in classroom training for our programs. We have served over 52,000 people since 1975, and that's an estimate because I don't have all the records from since 1975. So I can document approximately 52,000 individuals. And that's a lot of service and a lot of case management, crisis intervention, and information that has been gathered. We also use interns from the various schools who are in rehab psychology training, rehab education, and psychology and law. Because we find that once we get persons who come in with this multidisciplinary approach, we're able to develop new and better programs. So we're constantly developing them all the time and involving the community in its development. We get feedback from the community. Now, again, those persons, a certain kind of person it takes a group to really come out and become part of a larger group, especially if it's all white. And the minorities, that's true. Many minority people who don't have the social skills and interpersonal skills, and who feel that they're going to be discriminated against anyway, and no one's going to listen to me, and all those kinds of negative feelings, which have been reinforced because that's the way our society has been for several hundred years. Actually, and then on top of that, there's a double whammy of being disabled. They self-reject. And this is reinforced, the self-rejection. So in all of our programs, as of 2 years ago, we have built in 3 years ago, I first met Sylvia Walker, actually, about 3 years ago. We have been building in models in all of our counseling programs, all of our community outreach programs, the concept of self-development. This doesn't necessarily mean peer counseling. It means teaching people interpersonal skills to learn to see themselves as people first, to look at what you want to see your life as, and to move along. And that's on a personal level. As far as the employers are concerned, public sector, our Business Advisory Council, which is comprised of large companies and some small companies, we have also made them much more aware and have been provided what we call windmills training. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that? Yeah. Are you? Yeah. We have provided windmills training and been doing it for multiculturally diverse employees with and without disabilities. But we have found that, as I said, because the person may be belong to an ethnic group, they may or may not be discriminated against because of their disability.
You've just heard Miss Betty Wilson from the Mayor's Office on Disability from Los Angeles, California.